Let's go on a journey. My name is Mizutani Journey, and if you saw the title and clicked on this video voluntarily, chances are I do not need to explain to you the phenomenon that is Uma Musume. Regardless, Uma Musume Pretty Derby is a horse racing simulation gacha game that released in Japan in 2021 and globally on the 26th of June last year. The gacha roster consists of famous horses from Japanese horse racing history depicted as anime girls. You train these anime horse girls to run faster, run stronger, run smarter, so that they can win races against other anime horse girls. Admittedly, it is hard to see how Uma Musume blew up like it did if you are looking at it purely from an objective lens. A simulator game about moified Japanese horse racing isn't necessarily the most hook, line, and sinker premise for a broad global audience. But alas, before long, Uma Musume was the talk of the entire internet. People were sharing memes and fan art, and showing up in cosplay in racetracks and conventions, and streamers that would have never touched an anime gacha game otherwise were getting heavily invested in Japanese horse racing. Dude, it even won awards! People online and offline were sharing about their love of anime horse girls, and everyone was getting in on the fun, including yours truly. I always knew of the existence of Uma Musume. My university friends enjoyed spamming Umapyoi Densetsu on the karaoke machine every other week. I thought it was a niche that I didn't really want to get into. At the time, there was only the Japanese version, and my language skills were not at the level that I could play games comfortably in Japanese. However, when the EN version came around and everybody and their mothers were playing it, I thought, you know what, I'm region locked to JP, but I can speak it now, so why not try it out? And I downloaded it, and in a blink of an eye, I was in the trenches. I had Umas that I really liked. I had the Umas that I really liked. I listened to the entire discography, and I had songs that were stuck looping in my head. I was pulling and sparking for my favorite Umas, and I was watching all of the anime, and I experienced peak cinema, and I watched YouTube content about the gameplay and the Umas and their real life counterparts, and suddenly I started watching the real races. I saw how the mannerisms of the real horses and the little tidbits of the races got translated into the game, and I watched as the real horses gallop across the finish line in their real races. I saw tens of years of horse racing drama unfold upon my screen, and all of a sudden, I kinda had the urge to go watch the horses run in real life. Hence today's journey. Let me preface this by saying, since I started playing Uma Musume back in July and up until now, I have visited 2 racetracks, Hanshin and Kyoto, and I am planning on watching races in other tracks like Nakayama, Sapporo, and Kochi. So like this video and let me know in the comments if you enjoy this type of content. Feedback is always appreciated. In today's journey, we took the Hankyu Imazu line from Nishinomiya Kitaguchi up to Nigawa Station, which is the station closest to Hanshin, and entered the long underground tunnel that leads towards the racetrack. The walls of the tunnel are decorated with horses that have won races in Hanshin throughout the years. This one is of Orfevre, winning the Takarazuka Kinen. Up the escalator we go, and here we are. Hanshin Keibajo, shortened to Hanshin when talking in context of horse racing, is one of the racetracks run by the JRA. Throughout the year, dozens of graded races or Jusho are run here, of which there are 5 G1 races: the Takarazuka Kinen, the Osaka High, the Okasho, the Asahi High Futurity Stakes, and the Hanshin Juvenile Fillies. The racecourse itself had a renewal between 2023 and 2025, and a lot of its graded races were run in Kyoto and Chukyo instead. That's why when you look up G1 races for 2024, you can see it takes place in not Hanshin. Anyways, this footage was filmed on 27th of December 2025, which is the day of the G2 race, the Hanshin Cup. At the same time, in Nakayama, 2 G1s are taking place, the Nakayama Daishogai and the Hopeful Stakes. Paired with a clear blue sky and perfect weather, it makes it a great day to watch horses run, and it's reflected in just how packed the crowds got later in the video. It's also reflected in how I didn't get any stand seats. Usually you can reserve for stand seats through the JRA website, but I lost the seat lottery and had to settle for just entry tickets, which was 200 yen. Having seats is nice, but I ended up walking around the entire day anyway, so I wasn't too bummed. Before we entered the main building, I wanted to have a look around the garden area, called the Centaur Garden to the right. And this is probably as good a time as any to address Uma Musume and Keiba. The JRA and horse racing in general faces challenges in attracting new people into the hobby. The image of Keiba for the longest time has always been shy of positive. You can see here that they have a kids playground where people can bring their family to the track and enjoy a family day of sort, and in general they have been brushing up their image through renewals of the racetracks like the one Hanshin had that I mentioned earlier, and through ads, etc. But nothing really brought in young people into Keiba like popular media. Recently, the drama made in part to promote the 70th Arumakinen, the royal family, was a huge hit and boosted the image of horse racing in young people's minds. A random reviewer I found online said, "Highly recommend this drama if you appreciate a well-written drama that will take you through a beautiful human and horse story with an amazing emotional journey." Talking about another piece of popular media, the pipeline of Uma Musume into Keiba is an undeniable phenomenon, particularly among the younger generation. Takeyutaka, arguably the most famous figure in the world of Japanese horse racing, thinks so too. Attracting young people has been a challenge for the horse racing industry, so in that sense, I'm delighted to hear that many young people are starting to participate in horse racing, he said in an interview in 2021. After all, one of the major reasons is without a doubt Uma Musume. He agrees with this sentiment so much that he agrees to appear in a lot of Uma Musume's ads, from its very first ones to the latest ones. But the extent to which Uma Musume has affected horse racing both positively and negatively is an entire argument that dates back since its release in Japan in 2021, and I'd rather not touch on it too much, but it is undeniable that it has brought in an influx of newer, younger fans into the hobby. I looped around the main park and into this area called the Sakura Terrace and pop out here, right in front of the so-called final corner. Here we can view Hanshin in all of its glory. It was around 12 PM and a talk show started up in the middle of the track. I got curious, so I made my way towards the center of the racecourse. I'm gonna be honest though, I have no clue who this is. I think it's a baseball player, but I didn't catch their introductions. They have talk shows like this all the time with random guests throughout the day. I decided it's time to loop back around to the main entrance, so I entered this pit here and I passed by the so-called athletic area, which is an indoor playground for toddlers and kids, and the food court. Oh, the food court. If you try getting food during lunchtime here, it's practically impossible to find a table for one, let alone for a group of people. I suggest going during a race you're not planning on watching very closely, or if you have a seat, you can just grab something like snack-like and go back to the stands. I was feeling hungry, so I grabbed some curry. It was aight. Going up to the second floor, we reach the Gourmet Street, which has a different selection of stores every few weeks. I will note though that the prices at a racecourse is more pricey than what the meals would usually be priced in other places, but if you're okay with prices at, let's say, a festival, then you'll be fine here. Let's turn our attention away from that though, because right nearby, one of the centerpieces of the entire racetrack, is the Hanshin Keibajo Paddock. The paddock, or parade ring, is the place where horses and trainers, owners, caretakers, and jockeys gather before the race. Here, their team can check on last-minute conditions of the horse, and spectators can view the condition of the horse on the day. And the big screen overlooking the area shows the statistics, including weight, handicap, and odds for the next race. You can see how packed it gets with people that want to figure out how to bet for the next race, and families that bring their young to see the majestic beasts up close. After viewing the paddock, people usually go back to their seats, but I don't have a seat, so we explore a bit more. Therefore, we head on down to my personal favorite place in the entire racetrack, the Turfy Shop. Here, we have two giant plushies of Gold Ship and Orfavor guarding the entrance. Kawaii ne. The Turfy Shop is the one-stop shop for all merchandise for your favorite horses. They usually stock merchandise of horses that won graded races in that specific racetrack. But it's not limited to that, as they fill up the stores with as much merch as they can. I personally got myself my sitting or favorite plushie that sits next to me when I play video games. This store is located around the middle of the racecourse, but if you head up to the second floor on the north side of the racetrack, there's another branch of the store featuring more horse memorabilia. We loop around the outside and up to the third floor for one last stop, the Uma-jo spot. Or rather, just outside of it, because the Uma-jo spot, literally horse girl spot in English, is a cafe-looking place located in the corner here and is a ladies-only zone where they can enjoy a complimentary free drink and a place to relax. Yes, it is Horse Girl Spot. No, it doesn't have any connection to those horse girls. Think of it as one of the JRA's attempts to making the racetrack more friendly to a wider demographic. I think it's neat. Also, their website has fan pages for jockeys, and I think that's pretty funny. However, now it's time for the races to begin. This is the view from the third floor stands. As you can see, most of Hanshin's stand seats are actually indoors, which is great for days when the weather is less than pleasant. Other than the basic seats, there are also group sofas and more that go for different prices. A race runs every 30 minutes or so, which gives people enough time to buy food or go to the bathroom, check the paddock, submit a bet, and come back to their seats to enjoy a race. Horses that win get paraded here in the winner's circle near the finish line. Today's main race is the Hanshin Cup, a G2 race spanning 1400 meters in the inner turf course of the Hanshin Racecourse. It acts as the closing graded race for the year for Hanshin, and let me tell you, it was glorious. At the paddock area, and here we see the contestants for the race being paraded around, and we see just how packed the racecourse gets. The race itself was, to put simply, exciting. I managed to squeeze myself near the front of the winner's circle, but once the crowd formed behind me, there was no escaping. And the race began, and in the blink of an eye, it was over. The crowned winner was Lugal, a 5-year-old horse and the winner of the 2024 Sprinter Stakes. After a devastating loss in last year's Sprinter Stakes and a second place finish in the G2K Hanhai after that, he landed third in popularity before the race. But wow, seeing the race in person solidified his strength, especially after finishing strong by breaking the track record. It really was moving, to say the least. Do check out the official race footage as provided by the JRA on their YouTube page. And after the G2 took place, people weren't ready to go home just yet. The G1 Hopeful Stakes was displayed on every screen on the track, and the energy from the crowd was overflowing. I'll just let the audio play for itself. As an Uma Musume fan, I would say that visiting a racecourse is a great time. As a word of advice, of course, mind your manners wherever you go. Racetracks by themselves, unless explicitly collabing with the franchise itself, will not have much to offer in terms of goods or activities in relation to Uma Musume. This should be pretty obvious. so going to a racetrack will resonate more with one's interest in horse racing. However, I would like to say that, at least from what I've experienced, Uma Musume as a franchise is such a love letter to the culture and history of horse racing that any fan of the franchise is bound to enjoy the experience at a racecourse.